I'm reviewing here! Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of I'm Reviewing Here, a podcast where I, Matthew Bussey, watches and reviews Sight and Sound's top greatest movies of all time. It's become a habit of me having to record these intros, and like 10 seconds in, I'm like, this is so bad and crappy and not funny at all. I have to redo it. Yeah, that's probably the 10th time in a row that I've done it on this podcast, and there's many more to come. I also keep forgetting to silence my phone. And my phone, if I get a text, it's the psycho scream. You know, it's the ah like that. I won't do it for real because I don't want to deafen you guys. I'm loud and obnoxious enough. Yeah, but like my friends are always texting me. My family's always texting me right when I start this goddamn podcast. Every friggin' time. No, I'm just kidding. It's not a big deal, you know. What are they, psychic? They don't know I'm doing this. They don't know when I'm doing this. I gotta get back on routine though, guys. This is so much fun, but like I gotta get back. It is, you know, excuse me. Podcasting is a very taxing thing to do. Am I using that word correctly? I don't even know. Yeah, and I've really got to get back into the routine of things just because the last few weeks with Aruba, with the toilet, with, you know, all that crap, it's just a lot. And you know, you hear those dings? Those are my friends texting me. God damn it! I'm just kidding. Guys, I can't get into Ted Lasso. Do you watch Ted Lasso? Do you? Do you not? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Are you indifferent? I'm on season 3 and I don't know what's going on, and it's become a show that I just have on in the background, and I don't really get the whole craze around it. I mean, I love it because it's British and I'm half British, and it makes me want to go to London right now and just get drunk on beer and then regret it the next day. I mean, it's that type of show, but I don't know. It's just not, it doesn't stand out. It really doesn't, and I can't get into it. And because of that, I'm going to start another podcast called the Ted Lasso Rewatch Podcast. No, I'm kidding. I have no idea what the hell happened in the last season. No idea. I just love Juno Temple. She's the blonde in it, and she's such an underrated actress. She's been in so many movies that people are always like, oh, who's that girl? Oh, she's so freaking good. Killer Joe. So good. Even like when she does mediocre movies like Wonder Wheel, that came out in 2017. That's a Woody Allen movie right before he got canceled. You know, not the best movie, but like she is just so good in it. She can do any role. If you don't know who she is in Ted Lasso, she's the blonde, the really British hot one. I just have to say, I'm sorry, I'm like very attracted to Juno Temple. I think she's so hot. Yeah, I don't know. I was telling someone last week, I think Ted Lasso, I watch it because it's a very cozy show. It's a show that is just so relaxing to watch. You know, even if it's on in the background, even if I'm making, you know, Iskender kebab or fela kofteski, they're Turkish discs. Jesus Christ. Discs. Yeah, discs. Dishes. Turkish. Say that 10 times really fast. Turkish dishes. Shit. Dame Judi Dench. It's really hard. That gives me a full-on panic attack, heart attack, both at the same time. Yeah, that when people like, you know, think up of those weird combination of words to say really fast. Oh my God, I'm getting a heart attack right now. I'll be right back. No. Oh, God damn it. Yeah, Ted Lasso, though. Cozy show. I don't know if I can really get into it, but there is so much that I need to catch up on. It's positively insane. I also, like, don't laugh, I'm really excited for that new Netflix show, Jewish Matchmaking. I'm actually Facebook friends with the star of it. And I actually, if you listen to her podcast that she does with these two other matchmakers, I actually asked them a question, and I'm honest about dating because I'm so bad at it. I sent them a question in advance, and they answered my question on their podcast, episode 5. It's called The Yentas. Plug! That's my plug. I haven't been sponsoring anything yet because no one's gotten back to me. That's the other thing, guys. I've been in the podcast craze for a while now, but I'm really looking for some sponsors, and I'm looking for some guests. I found one podcast that was like, we're looking for a guest. We're a comedic duo. We talk about your first embarrassing moment when you were a kid. And I was like, oh, like, what are examples? And it was like, when was the first time you pooped your pants? And I was like, oh, well, I don't mind saying it, but I'm not going to say it here because, this is not called I'm reviewing poop. It's called I'm reviewing here. And oh, damn it. I had a joke going in there, but I forgot it. Anyway, let's get to today's episode, shall we? Today's movie is hands down the most epic movie I have seen so far on Sight and Sound's list. This is A Touch of Zen.
这位是杨姑娘。
这姑娘胆子可真不小，话语捉拿杨慧珍，明天就做榜文，贴在各集市要道。杨小姐，跟我回去吧。
我现在深陷绝境。
你们应当据此守株待兔。
佛门境地哪有杀人的道理
？Oh my god, listen to that. Did you hear that? Did you actually hear that? That music, it just makes me like want to watch a Quentin Tarantino movie. And I would not be surprised if A Touch of Zen definitely influenced him and so many other directors who love martial arts, who love just kick-ass, badass action movies, where people who look really, really like frail and pacifistic end up like karate chopping and punching people in the face and with things, and oh my god, it's so cool. Karate and martial arts, I actually forgot to double check the difference between the two of those two things, so I'm not gonna call this a karate movie. I think karate actually is not Chinese. I heard that in a movie once, Dick, 1999, Kirsten Dunst, Michelle Williams. It's the scene where the brother is making drugs and he goes, "Doesn't everyone know that Kung Fu isn't Chinese?" Yeah, so, I think that's true. I think it's true. Is it true? I don't even know. Anyway, I just have to skip ahead to the trivia of this movie. Jackie Chan, this movie came out in 1972. Jackie Chan, apparently, is in this movie. Yeah. Say what? 1971. I'm sorry, not 1972. Still, he, is, credited in this movie. No, I'm sorry. Oh my god, I'm getting everything out of order right now. He's not credited in this movie. He did actually act in it, though, as an extra, which is absolutely insane. And I Googled the movie and his name to see if any images could come up, and I can't find it, and I'm going to have to just rewatch all 3 hours of this movie to see it. Yes, this is a long movie. It is 3 hours long. Guys, it is so entertaining. I kid you not. You don't have to be a film nerd. You don't have to, be just a weirdo who only likes those like eclectic artsy-fartsy movies. No. This is a movie for everybody. And that is what is so good about it. And I want more people to see it. I want to run down the streets and streak and yell, "A touch of Zen!" It's like that type of movie. I would never do that. Are you kidding me? It is too cold outside. Yeah, but this movie belongs to a genre of film called Wuxia. 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 It is not Wuxia. That's how I thought you said it. But Wuxia is, it's a genre. Yeah. it's basically martial arts. It literally means martial heroes, and it is a genre of Chinese fiction, and it mainly focuses on martial artists in ancient China. Biggest example I can think of is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Like, that is the epitome of a woo-shah movie. That's also the epitome of, like, a movie that just everybody has heard of or seen. Like, Americans, everybody has seen the movie. I saw that movie in theaters, and I didn't want to see it because it was subtitled, and I was 9, and I was like, Mom, Dad, why are you making me do this? And they were like, well, you can't, like, even read. It doesn't even matter. Just go watch it. I was like, oh, okay. I actually followed the movie very, very well, and I was friggin' blown away. That movie, guys, wow. And Michelle Yeoh, and Chow Yun-fat, and Zhang Ji, I think that's how you say her name. Oh my god, that movie is a friggin' classic. Well, A Touch of Zen, it's just one of many woo-shah movies, one of many woo-shah stories. And woo-shah was not just movies too. You know, there are comic books, there are operas, so many things in popular Chinese culture that are, woo-shah, I guess. I just also love saying that word, woo-shah, woo-shah. I'm going to make that my new AIM name. AIM. Remember AIM? What a train wreck that was. I have no good memories of AIM. My second AIM name was MR Bus because my middle name is Ryan, MRBUSS. But then everyone thought that I changed it to Mr. Bus when really it was just meant to be pronounced as MR Bus. It was so stupid. And then my fourth username was KrugerBoy84 because I really liked Freddy Krueger. Oh, brother. Anyway, there's no AIM in A Touch of Zen. This is a second movie I've watched where the director's first name is King. Yeah. Now, King, in this case, though, I think is a very popular Chinese first name. This director's name is King Hu, H-U. He lived to be 64 years old. I don't know any of his other movies, but he was a really big person in Taiwanese cinema. Cinema from Taiwan. I obviously that makes sense. I just needed to say Taiwanese because that looks like such a fun word to say. But yeah, he was really big. This movie was very, very popular when it came out. And of course, it's one of those movies where all these years later, people are like, yeah, wasn't that good? It is amazing. It is a movie that I expected to be one thing. I expected it to go down one direction in terms of the plot, which I'll get into, and it doesn't. Overall, this is just a fun movie about really badass, good people, fighting against bad people in really cool, medieval Chinese outfits in an incredible setting with absolutely, I keep saying incredible, with absolutely, balls to the wall, amazing, jaw-dropping martial arts choreography. Yeah. It's great. So this movie, yeah, it came out in 1971, as I said. It takes place in 14th century CE Ming China. So it's set, in the gorgeous mountains. There's this mountain village. The art direction in this movie, the production design, whatever you want to call it, is absolutely spectacular. I mean, kudos to, everyone who put this hui together. Cinematography as well, I just also have to say, is absolutely brilliant. It was by someone named Hua Huijing. I think it's how you pronounce their name. I mean, the first shot in this movie is a spider web, and it looks like dragonflies are going into the spider web by accident, unless they want to die. I don't know. But, dragonflies have feelings too. Yeah, but, there's this really kind of creepy but unsettling and just cool shot of these, dragonflies spinning in these webs trying to get free, and they can't. And I think it's definitely a metaphor for the movie. If I remember it by the time I'm finished talking about this, I'll go back and see if, there's a correlation. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Like I said, Ming China, 14th century CE, there's this village. The village is called Jinglu Fort. Or Jing, Jing. Apologies if I pronounce anything wrong. Please don't cancel me. I'm sorry. I really did do my best to remember all the names in this movie and how they are pronounced. But if I screw up, please, it's not intentional. So the lead in this movie, he is played by this actor named Shihun, Shih space Chun, and he plays Gu, Gu. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Gu is like an everyday man slash, underdog kind of character. He's one of those like adorable little babies that you just want to like shove in your knapsack and walk around in the city. He's that type of guy. But there would be air in the knapsack so that he could breathe, of course, But yeah, he is this, young looking guy, but he's not a fighter. He hasn't joined, civil services or anything. He's like in his early 30s and he still lives with his mom. He is a scholar. He's really into education, and he also just paints on the side. He'll go into town and paint people, villagers walking by who just want to get their face painted, kind of like at Disney World, but he makes these nuts over the top paintings. Have you guys ever gotten those done before? I did that once, and it was I never knew if should we be offended when they do that? Like at Disney World and those parks when they're like, I'll draw you, and they draw you, and then your face, you look like a Tim Burton character. It's it's like you on ketamine. That's what it looks like. It's insane. But Gu does not do that. He is much nicer, and he's very well, meaning, and he's very endearing. He wants to fall in love. He wants to get married, but, he is a pacifist. He doesn't believe in fighting. He doesn't want to take the civil service exam, and, his mom, of course, is just typical mom. You gotta grow up. You gotta go and fight. You gotta be like everybody else in town. You gotta join the service and just make me happy. And he is just very, very, obstinate, and it's just like, no, I don't want to do it. I don't believe in it. So things change a little bit when this stranger comes in. We find out that his name is Weiyang Yan. He's played by an actor named Tian Peng. I'm not going to spell it out every single time. That's ridiculous. Anyway, he is this kind of mysterious guy. He's a little intimidating. He is just walking around town, and he asks Gu if he can get, his painting done. And, he's a little weird. He doesn't really smile. He wears a big hat that's always down. He doesn't really want to show his true face. And Gu is a little bit like, all right, you're kind of weird, but I don't know, maybe you're just having a bad day. Maybe, you got some diarrhea or whatever. No big deal. We all get it. It's Ming China, 14th century. You got to remember back in the day, there was danger in every corner. So, if people had a right to be kind of a little intimidating and in a bad mood. No biggie. I got so sidetracked by diarrhea because that was completely unnecessary for me to say. But anyway, yeah, Weiyang is a little mysterious. Another character comes into play, and her name is Yang, Y-A-N-G. Yang is played by this incredibly done by, okay, I'm going to try it again. Su Feng, H-S-U-F-E-N-G. She's still alive. She was 20 in this movie, I think, or even younger. Absolutely badass. He meets her, and she's very pretty and just incredible, but, is also really independent and has a lot of self-worth and isn't looking to, go and get married. She's not looking to be, a bride or a bride and not do anything. She's tough. She's a tough cookie, and there's kind of an immediate attraction from Gu towards her. I think Gu is just very, I really hope I'm saying Gu right, because I keep thinking of G-O-O Gu, or Mr. Magoo. Gu is really attracted to her, obviously, but Gu's probably most definitely a virgin and doesn't really know what to do. So, and he's also really kind of, she's so mysterious, this woman. She's that woman who hides in the shadows at night and hides in the bushes at night and will run off when he's trying to find her, basically. So she's kind of, yeah, some weird people are coming into this town, and you don't really know what's going on. Yang and Gu kind of, courts her a lot, and this is kind of the interesting thing about the movie. I expected this movie to go down that route and become a romance, really become a big romance about them, and Yang is going to end up kind of protecting him, and it's going to be a really badass feminist movie, but it's going to overall be a romance. This isn't really a romance. Yang isn't really totally attracted to Gu, I think. They, there's this great sequence where, the music in this movie too is so good, as you heard in the trailer. They, meet, Gu kind of follows her into this, this home, and they stare at each other, and they just hug and embrace. And it cuts to the next scene, and, like, they're fully clothed, but it's pretty evident that they, boinked. And, Gu is a little bit naive, and I think Gu kind of immediately thinks, okay, great, well, we had sex, so we're gonna get married now, right? And Yang is just a little bit like, no, I just, and I think that's the thing about this movie. I think Yang is just very much like, I just had sex with you. It doesn't mean I'm gonna marry you, Just because I live in this culture doesn't mean I'm gonna, follow its guidelines or anything. So that's what I really liked about A Touch of Zen. I think especially for back then, for a movie to really challenge the norms of a 14th century in a 14th century setting of a movie, it's really, really special. So when does the action kick in? Well, yeah, this is a 3-hour long movie. I will say it's got a very slow build up, but it is totally worth it. Things get crazy pretty quickly. We eventually find out that Wu Yang is working with the Eastern Depot, also known as the East Chamber. Pardon me, because this just makes me laugh a little bit, but also it disturbs the hell out of me because this was all totally real. What was the Eastern Depot? The Eastern Depot was a Ming Dynasty, secret police kind of group / agency, whatever you want to call it. It was run by eunuchs. Men without, men without their, meat and 2 veggies. Yeah, eunuch. Eunuch is such an unusual word to spell, and it always looks like, and that must be such a fun word to spell in cursive. I first heard about the word eunuch in Saving Silverman, one of the best comedies ever, when Steve Zahn, however you say his name, yells at Amanda Peet, "Go to hell!" And then Amanda Peet just yells back at him, "Eunuch!" I watched it with my friend, and I did not know what eunuch meant, and my friend was like, "Oh, Matt, it's a man who doesn't have a dick." And I was like, "Oh, okay." It was high school, so we cursed a lot. Yeah, but the Eastern Depot, though, it was run by eunuchs, and Wu Yang is working undercover with them, because it turns out that Yang, the woman that Gu just, is in love with, is a fugitive. And the reason she's a fugitive is because her father basically found out that the emperor of the Eastern Depot, Eunuch Wei, is his name. Truly, that's what he was referred to. This was all real. I don't know if these were real people, but eunuchs, yeah, that was like a common thing. And, oh, Jesus. Oh, ow. I just have that feeling in my head right now of how they did that procedure. But, oh God, you don't see any eunuch procedures in this movie. Don't worry. Eunuch Wei was basically very corrupt, and Yang's father spoke against it, and he basically paid the price for it. We kind of also find out that there was a monk, a very sweet, good old monk. I mean, is there ever a bad monk? Well, actually, yeah, that's kind of true. I mean, there was a movie. There was a documentary. Oh, no, that wasn't a monk. Yep, that was a yoga instructor. Oh, I'm getting them mixed up. Anyway, totally different things. There was a monk named Abbot Hui Wan who, was kind of like a second father to Yang, and he protected her, and she's on the run. So he meets some other characters come in, but the fighting ensues. They find Yang, Wu Yang and Yang start fighting, and Wu Yang's other people who work for the Eastern Depot, they start fighting Yang as well. Yang has some other people, though. So, there's another character named General Shi Wen Xiao, who is disguising as a blind person, and he is, actually one of her fellas, one of her men, one of her friends, not fellas, that implies lover. No, he's just one of the goodies, as we call it, and he helps her. There's also General Lu Ding-an, who is also in on it. So there's a lot of people that are on her side, and Gu kind of goes up and follows Yang and everybody else because he likes her a lot, but he also is growing a little bit more as a man in a way. You know, he doesn't fight in this movie too. That's the thing. Gu never fights once. Does not lift up a sword once. He still is very much a pacifist. And like there's this crazy sequence that is like, I had to like rewind it to go like, wait, huh? Where you know, the Eastern Depot men, you know, the Eastern Depot's men, they're coming to this allegedly haunted house in the middle of the forest, and what Gu does is he sets up all of these like fake like mannequin statues, and he creates like all these weird sound effects, so then when the men come, everybody, all these crazy noises and things start happening, and the men freak out because they think it's actually ghosts. Because they also believed in all that back then. I mean, they were very much believers in the supernatural. And so they think it's ghosts and they freak out. And it's like, the scene after that, the sequence after that is kind of bad, I have to admit, though. Gu, and this is nothing really on, well, it kind of is because he was the actor. It's nothing on Shi Shun's performance, but there's the sequence after where Gu is laughing like a madman at, you know, all the traps that he set, knowing that it was all just a joke, and the men all ran scared. When in reality, the men did not run scared. The men actually did fight with Yang and you know, all of her... I don't know what else to say, because I don't watch a lot of like martial arts movies. Companions? That's not the right word. They actually got killed. Like, a lot of the people in the Eastern Depot were actually killed. So, you know, Gu is still very much... like, he doesn't really, he's I don't want to call him a coward, because he's not a coward, he's just a guy. He doesn't, if you were a guy back then, you didn't want to fight, it didn't make you a bad person, you know? Oh, Lord. So, anyway, after that happens, there's also, you know, Abbot Hui, there's another sequence I just have to point out where, you know, they run into him, and there's someone from the Eastern Depot who comes, and Abbot Hui is very much just like Gu. He's like, you know, you're very standard, I don't believe in violence, I don't want to fight you, please leave. But the baddie's like, no, I don't believe you, and he starts to whack at him, and Abbot Hui, a monk, breaks out and just starts kicking and flying over this guy, but he never kills him. Abbot Hui never kills anybody in this movie, and that's a very important thing to remember, as we'll see in the very end. But after the big, you know, carnage sequence where, you know, Gu notices that, oh my god, men actually got killed, he tries to find Yang, and he finds out that she left him. And it looks like, well, obviously some months go by, and he later finds out that she's at Abbot Hui's monastery, and she gave birth to a child. And she became a nun, which is nuts. This goes back to this movie not being a romance. It's not a romance. Yang didn't love Gu, at least when I was watching this movie. No, she didn't. I don't think she loved him. She friggin' left him. She didn't look after him, go find him when she found out she was pregnant. But, you know, she's not a bad person, though. She's not, like, a tramp or anything like that. No. Yang also is a good person at heart, and when Gu finds her, you know, she basically tells him, it wasn't meant to be, but you know what? You have a new destiny now. I want you to take our child and leave. And this is when I was like, oh, and this is how the movie's going to end? No, I want, like, more. I want more of this movie. And this is, like, 2.5 hours in, too. There's already been a ton of action scenes. And I was very wrong. The movie does not end. It goes off with, it leaves with Gu and the child, and they're, you know, walking in the forest, going away. And then the real villain of the movie steps into frame. Hisu Xianchen. Oh, that's a cool word to say. He's like the leader of Eunuch Wei's army, and he's the number one, like, baddie in this movie. He's like the super villain. He's like, you know, in movies, like, there's always a lot of villains, in a lot of action movies, there's always a lot of them, but they're not as tough as the good guys, but then there's always the main villain who's actually really tough. Like, you know, in Spider-Man, when he hits Green Goblin a lot, but it doesn't really do anything, and at the very end, Green Goblin beats the living crap out of Spider-Man in that, like, abandoned building. Yeah, that scene used to kind of creep me out when I was a kid. But that is what Jesus Xianchen is like. So he finds Gu and, the child, and then Yang and General Shi is still alive. He survived all of this. They go and fight Xian Chen, and also Abbot Hui and the other monks come in, and Abbot Hui tries to reason with him again, like, because he's a monk, and he just tries to say, please stop all this madness, I'm not going to kill you. And Xian Chen is a little shit, and he basically goes, yes, okay, fine, and he runs off. And then they're in, like, the desert or something. It's like the setting changes, and they're out of the woods, and they see Xian Chen, and he's with these two other guys, and he looks up at the monk, and he goes, please forgive me. Ah! And then he takes out his sword, and he stabs he stabs Abbot Hui in the stomach. Abbot Hui uses this, like, crazy, like, magic or something, and kind of makes Xian Chen, like, hallucinate briefly, and Xian Chen, falls off a cliff and dies. Abbot Hui, though, we don't know if he dies. He starts to ascend this cliff, and he's bleeding like gold. It's like his blood doesn't look like blood. It looks like gold or something, which is like, what the heck is that? And it ends... It has one of the coolest ending shots I've ever seen in a movie. That's a big statement, but I mean it. It ends with... he is at the top of this mountain, and, the score of the movie is like, it's like over the top. And Abbot Hui is sitting in front of the sun, and down, below the cliff, you see Gu and his child from the forest, and you see Yang and General Shi, and they're just looking up at this monk, and the monk looks just like Buddha. Symbolism, am I right? Am I right? Yeah. And then the movie ends. Wow. A Touch of Zen. I mean, fantastic writing, for one thing. Fantastic, incredible, badass action fight sequences. I mean, look, you can tell that these people are on wires, but at the same time, you can. You don't see any wires in this movie. There are no visual effects in this movie. This is all real. This is all people flying, well, not actually flying, because Peter Pan's not real, but, they're actually doing this in when they were filming this. It's so cool. I mean, the production in this movie, this was filmed in 1968. It didn't come out until 71. It was a lot. And I found this really good quote that the director, King Hu, said in it, where he said, the Ming Dynasty, it was a period when Western influences first reached China. And I also found, this is on IMDb, he conceived his films, not just A Touch of Zen, but his other films, as critiques of the unjustified killings depicted in such Western movies, Western meaning like USA, as the James Bond film franchise, where the hero indiscriminately guns down faceless enemies. That's an interesting statement, because in this movie there's a lot of that. I feel like this movie, it's a fun time, it's a woo-shah movie, of course, you want to see some badass kicks and karate chops and whatever. Sorry, not karate, it's not karate, I'm sorry. You want to see that, but at the same time, King in this movie is he's very specific in that he is kind of, I think, trying to make a little bit of a statement about how fighting, we don't always have to kill the people, and it all comes down to the monk. I think the monk being, a representation of the Buddha in this film is not coincidental. I mean, that final shot is not coincidental. That final shot also would be such a good Instagram picture. The whole time I was like, okay, the next time if I ever go to a cliff and it's sundown, we're going to do that. Actually, we're not going to do that because it's going to be really, really bright and I'm going to have to turn around and I don't want to go blind. But anyway. Yeah, I think that's what I really liked about A Touch of Zen, though. It's an action movie with a lot of intelligence. We get action movies all the time. I'm not going to name any, but, we get a lot of them that aren't intelligently written. They're all the same. These stories need to get a little bit more inventive. And A Touch of Zen, from start to finish, has so many clever ideas. I forgot to mention, too, that this was written by King Hu, but it also was based on where are my notes? Hold on. It's based on a story called The Magnanimous Girl, and which is from an anthology called Strange Stories from a Chinese Studio, which featured close to 500 stories. So yeah, The Magnanimous Girl, it was by an author called Pu Sung Ling. And you can tell, they mentioned a bunch of other movies that I hadn't heard of, but they also came out in the 20th century and the 21st century as well. So woo-shah movies, I want more woo-shah movies to get made with no special effects. Make them like A Touch of Zen. Make them real. You know how Christopher Nolan tries to not use visual effects in his movies, or CGI, I mean? We need more movies like that. That is what makes A Touch of Zen so epic and unforgettable. So yeah, I could not recommend this movie enough. I highly, highly encourage you to see it. You will not be bored at all. A Touch of Zen, where do you get it? Well, this is other further incentive. It's only available on the Criterion Channel. Yeah, you can also, I believe you can also just rent it on... Okay, you can rent it on YouTube for $2.99, but don't do that. Get the Criterion Channel. Get it. It's so good. There's special effects. There's special interviews and bonus content with this movie. Oh, also, I forgot to tell you what's the moral of this story. I always like to end every episode with this. I kind of am making that a new thing that I always forget to announce I'm going to do. What's the moral of A Touch of Zen? There are a lot of morals in this movie. If you sleep with a girl, it's great, but don't always think that she loves you, because sex is sex. I mean it. It is. There's that. I think another big moral of this movie is violence is not always the answer. Let's all be a little bit more like monks and just only react violently if we feel like our lives are in danger. Yeah. There's a monastery in close proximity to where I live, and I would love to go in there and tell them about this movie. Oh my God, what if we showed this movie there? That would be so cool. Oh my God. It's not an offensive movie at all, too. It is just so offensive, meaning has it are there jokes in it that would not go well in 2023? Absolutely not. No, there's none of that. You know what I was thinking of? What I've been thinking of a lot, the Rush Hour movies. The jokes in the Rush Hour movies, that movie would get so freaking canceled if it came out this year. Twitter would go crazy. There's a line in Rush Hour 2 where Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker are fighting people in this spa, and Chris Tucker... they're fighting other Asian men, and Chris Tucker accidentally punches Jackie Chan, and Jackie Chan goes, "Carter!" And then Chris Tucker's character goes, "Man, you all look alike!" Oh, wow. Yeah, it's crazy how jokes have changed, but yeah, I mean, that's just not funny at all. You just can't say that anymore. And we should never have ever made that okay in movies. But you know what? Look, this is why we have these movements, and this is why we have these podcasts, and this is why we have a voice, so we can calmly say, no, you can't make jokes like that. Anyway, I got really off topic. Because, there's a correlation. Jackie Chan was in this movie. If you watch this movie and you find Jackie Chan, I want you to message me right away and send me a picture. I love Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan's one of my favorite actors. Shanghai Noon, one of my all-time favorite movies. Alrighty, I should wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Like I said, this is on the Criterion Channel, or you can rent it on YouTube for $2.99. Touch of Zen, amazing. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to I'm Reviewing Here. New podcasts new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Tell everybody about it. You can also follow me on Instagram at I'm Reviewing Here, and you can also follow me personally at Mabussy, MABUSSY. Why are you laughing? What's so funny about that? I don't get why you're laughing. Anyway. This was fun. You guys have a very wonderful rest of the day. And before you go to bed tonight, I want you to say woo-shah 50 times in a row, because it's a cool word to say. Alrighty, that's enough. Goodbye.